What's happening, guys? Dan here. TD Speed Shop. It's cold out. It's like real cold out. It's like a 1, 2, 3 heater kind of day. Oh, I gotta turn this one off because I don't want the poor comment section telling me that the fan's annoying. Gotta keep everyone happy. So, 55 Nomad. We're working on this junker to clean up a little bit in here. So, I think what we're gonna do today, couple of jobs. We have the door fitting good on both sides. The other side needs a little bit more adjustment, but this side for sure. I just have the quarter panel tack welded into the jamb, so we'll have to clean up in there, weld it properly a little. I don't know if I'll seam weld the whole way or just maybe plug weld. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do there, but I got to finish that up. It's not going anywhere, but it just looks unfinished, and I don't want to put filler over that. Both sides. The real issue we're going to work on, I think I'm going to start with this, because that's welding in door jambs. It's boring stuff. So this car was rough. Now at some point, I guess it must have had no glass in it and been strapped down to something or lifted with something, or I don't know what, because on both sides we have this problem where the drip rail is folded in. Now this side we lucked out. The roof looks pretty good. There's no real issues, so I think we'll be able to grind this down and pull it out with a slide hammer, and we should be pretty close. A little bit of hammer dolly work. I don't know. We have to get the torch out a little bit. It's got a bit of a crown up. We should be able to whack it down. I mean, this trim does have to come off. You can see what happened there. On the other side, well, I've moved the car over like an idiot, which now makes it tricky to get around. So I'm gonna work on the other side. Look at the obstacles I put myself under. This side is worse. Oh, I'll use this tool. This side, so we have the same situation. I don't know if it'll show up, but the roof itself has a bit of a bend in it. Now, it is on a flat. Unfortunately, it's through a rib, but this kind of curve there, I think it's okay. So, might get lucky and be able just to, because actually it's high here, it kinked. When this went in, that came out, so we can knock that in. If we get lucky, we can pull this drip rail out. I'm hoping at the same time, might just pull the roof out. Guess we'll see. Not much we can do until we start getting in there. What I'm going to use is this, the old stud gun. So this is basically kind of like a little welder. We're going to grind down the drip rail till it's bare metal. We're going to put a stud in the machine, put the machine in. This is spring loaded. So essentially that's your ground. As you, or this is your ground, sorry, as you put the stud in, that touches, you pull the trigger, it kind of completes the circuit just like a stick welder would, and it will weld the tip of the stud to whatever you're touching. Then you hook it up to a slide hammer and you can gently, gingerly pull it out. Now, on this one you might be able to actually just use a little hook piece to kind of get behind and pull back, but that's a fun tool to use, so I think that's what we'll use. So I'll get set up on the other side, grind her down. It's super easy on that side. We'll get started and see where we end up. And then, same thing. Oh, muffs. This door jamb actually is worse. I never even finished this one. Look at that. Nope, I don't think that's factory. So I gotta weld a piece in there and finish that. But once we get that going, we can move on to something else. And I gotta figure out what I want to do in this little area, because that ain't factory. These are the tools of the trade. We're gonna use a grinder. Get down to bare metal. This is our stud puller, slide hammer. These are the studs. This is all they look like. What camera? So we're gonna, obviously a tip will be welded on. This will stick out. The hammer, slide hammer will grab it and it will and pull it out. Then these you can just kind of wiggle off or break off, whatever you gotta do. They go in. Oh, this thing's heavy. They go in this little machine here, or like that. And when you pull the trigger, it grounds itself out and melts it together. Let's get this ground down real quick. key. So now, slam some of these on there. So you kind of just put it on, pull the trigger, give it a few seconds. There is probably some sort of direction, which I don't have. Now what I'm going to do, there's two, right kind of where I went, and then here looks like where the biggest part of the strap was. And they got big dents, so we'll start there. And, oh, breaker? What's going on here? That was fast. Alright, technical difficulties. We'll be right back. Too bad extension cord. Anyway, on there. Now, got that on there. Let's just see what this will even do. Now they have all sorts of different ways you can, different tools. They have some for body panels that glue on. They have ones that have levers you can pull. But we'll just see. It's coming out. Try this one. That made a pretty big difference. So I'll probably get this going, get these two big pieces out as much as possible. Then I'll weld a bunch, because right now it's got a couple of big, hooks in there. We'll get those so it's a nice even curve of butchery. Then we'll put a bunch more on there. We can work our way back and forth. So I'm busting some studs. We do have a bit of a little one of those, but we'll just knock that down with a hammer. That's no big deal. But we're getting pretty close. It's got a bit of a wave to it. Now, I think what the problem is, this being like a C channel, and we're trying to basically move that part out. And I have these studs right in the middle. The further I move them up, the more it's going to want to roll over. So I think I'm going to do is, like, these just break off or whatever. I'll grind them all down. I'll come back and I'll go on top. Let's just fold it out a little bit more. So we're getting there. And once that's taken care of, we'll knock it down with a hammer, put a dolly under it, so it's nice and flat, and then it'll be good enough. Pretty close. I got just a little, maybe it's a little bit of a whoop-de-doo. It's hard to tell because the trim's kind of on it. It makes it look a little goofy, but when I put like a straight edge on it, it looks fairly straight. The only issue I'm dealing with now is where it's folded over. There's some kind of bits that are fatter than others. So I think I'm going to do, take these pliers, or vice grips, and kind of put them on if I can get just the edge, and squish it and see if I can fold it back together, make that nice crisp end again. And if not, no big deal, I'll put filler on it. I'll finish that up, then we'll get set up on the other side. It's so freaking cold out. Got like all the heaters running, so oh well. It's almost like I should get another garage. It's better insulated. I got that kind of dialed. I think what I'm going to do, I was going to pull the welder out, get this all burned in, ground down, done. Then we can work on the other side. I have the car kind of twisted in, so I might either bring it back over or leave all my tools over there, but we'll bang this out. Shouldn't be too much work, I'm thinking. A little bit of grinding and welding. I'll probably give her some stitches, a couple of plug welds, grind it, be done. So I just burned her top to bottom, but that looks pretty good. Looks a little bit more grinding in there, but no, it's 100% solid. I mean, I'll just shmoo a little bit of filler in there and make it look nice. I mean, at the end of the day, door jambs are one of those things, and even if they don't look right, they always look goofy anyway, so I'm sure it'll be fine. I do a little bit of welding down there because that was all rotten, so I just welded it all together. It didn't weld the greatest because I had the other day when I was adjusting the door, the striker was all seized, so I had just hosing it down with penetrating oil. So I tried to clean it up, but it's still got the metal and all that, so it's kind of popping and banging a little bit. But we got through it, and yeah, it stayed pretty good. Didn't warp it all up or nothing like that. I wasn't really too worried. It was, you know, welding in here, and it had this big, thick flange folded, so obviously no big deal. And yeah, so I think what we'll do, we'll get set up on the other side. We'll start working on the drip rail. I'll probably finish that tonight. It's cold, I'm not really feeling it. I think I'll do the door jamb tomorrow, finish it off there. Okay, so this side, a little worse for wear now. On the other side, I actually ended up kind of using this a fair bit after the fact and kind of, you know, make it look nice. Well, it's pretty beat. Can't even get it in there, you gotta pry against stuff. So I think I'm gonna clean all this metal up, clean all this metal up, and then I'll just kind of put a bunch of those studs kind of all over the place. I don't know if I should start on the roof and try and pull it out first, if I'm going to be working against this, or if I should try and straighten this out, because even though it all looks like one piece, it's all kind of sandwiched together. So pulling this out might in turn pull this out. And I really care more about the roof than I do about the drip rail. Like, the roof it's a pain to fix. Whereas the drip rail, if I gotta cut this right off and weld a piece in, so freaking be it. It's not the end of the world. So that's, yeah. We'll learn together, or you guys can scream in the comments right now how I'm already wrong. I haven't even put a tool on it. You know, the best part about cars, there's definitely the wrong way to do it, but there's a lot of mediocre ways to figure it out. Well, probably like a bunch of right ways, but we're in the mediocre category. So, we've got her a little bit straightened out. This is definitely a little thin. It's kind of making a bunch of holes, which I don't really want to do, but I mean, I can fix it. It's no big deal. The rib is still nice. The problem is I actually want to pull from behind the drip rail down in kind of like right here. So it's going to be hard to get in there with the stud gun. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take these studs, I'm going to hold them, and I'm going to weld them in with my MIG welder. Then I'll be able to pull them out and then get back in with the grinder. I've bent this a little far away so I can put the grinding stone in there and clean it up. So if I can get that, it did come out a fair bit, but obviously not close enough because I don't want to load it full of filler like that. This drip rail's got a big of a whoop-de-doo in it like usual. We'll have to hammer it down, but yeah. Get in there, weld it up, and see if that works. If it does, I'll keep going. If it doesn't, I'm calling it. Well, in my head, it just makes sense. I've never done it before, but we're just trying to get this attached to this. Right? So, it's working pretty good. It might come out a little bit too far. I'll have to knock it back in. The issue I'm running into is this, where the rib is. It's got a lot of tension in there. Thinking I just gotta get it to kind of let go, but the metal is so thin. Yeah, give it a few whacks. See what happens. A few of them, it was tearing the weld was tearing the sheet metal of the roof, which is not common, but possible. Bazillion little whacks, I think, is the key, but my patience are not quite there. You know, you give it a few tugs, then you get into a new spot, and on the first one it moves like a fair bit. And you can hit it harder and it doesn't do nothing. Pile screw on later. We're getting there. It does have to come out just a titch more, and the drip rail's not bad. You can see just right there has to come out just a little bit, which is again right on this crease. So that's what I'm fighting. But I'm starting to pull through, so I think I might just weld that up tomorrow, grind it down to shape, then keep pulling. Otherwise, we're pretty good. We have a bit of a whoop-de-doo here. So I might just weld right on the edge of the drip rail and then kind of shape it and then shorten the top, and it'll be good. Goodish. It is still bent right on the very bottom of this channel, but that ain't coming out unless the drip rail comes off, and it's not that bad. So weld, grind, pull tomorrow. We'll get to that. Actually, I'm shockingly pretty impressed. I mean, it's not too bad. If you set some paint on it, you'd probably just fill it full of filler. But now that we're committed, we'll finish her up tomorrow. But I've had it for late. What's going on, guys? It's actually been a couple of days. Yesterday, we ordered a bucket of chicken from the Colonel and ate all of it. So that pretty much put me out. Anyway, so I come out here today, and I think what I'm going to do, I still need to pull the bottom of this roof out. The whole thing has to come out, and it's behind this drip rail. I was like, how am I going to get in there, screw around? So I decided, you know what? I'll just fix the drip rail after. I kind of bent that down a little bit. I'm going to take more of these studs, and I'm going to weld them with the welder right down low, which is nice. Then I can pull that out, and obviously the lower you pull, the more you'll have. So I can do that. Then I can finish grinding this out. I'll weld this up. So I pulled through in a few spots. Looks like it's far enough away from the headliner. I think I should be okay. I'm hoping I'll be okay. We'll take it slow and hopefully I'll burn this thing in the ground. And then we'll just fold that back, straighten it out with a hammer dolly. I will have to weld the bottom just a little bit because it's got a big bow to it. And I'll flatten the top of the grinder. We'll make our own shape out of it. At least that's the plan for today. Oh, and the doors. We gotta do the doors. Well, it's done. I don't know if this is the the best way, but it worked out. I don't know if you can see down there, but it's relatively straight. I think what I got to the point was, Murr always says it, gilding the lily. What I don't even know what it really means, but I think it means taking it too far. So at a certain point, you know, we've got it out. I had to do got a little bit more grinding doing. I might just get in the file, get this little rib out. But compared to what we had, well, I can even show it. Well, it's going to show up on camera, but it's getting there. I think I might just run a little bead on this. Is getting kind of warm. I didn't want to get too hot with the headliner, but I might just put a little bead on top because this is like folded over, and then just grind it down, shape it just so it has a little bit of strength on it, and it needs a little bit more, you know, kind of dolly work, I guess. It's got a bit of a wave to it, but I'm pretty happy with it. Up next, I think I'm going to get in here and weld up the door jamb. This one actually fit much nicer, so it should be really easy. Get that. I got to weld just a little piece in the bottom. Once we get that squared away, then I think what we're going to do with this gap, I'm thinking just a piece of sheet metal will go around, and I'll put a little topper on it, and we'll weld that in and be done with it. This door needs a little adjustment, but whatever, we'll play with it. Get it fitting good, same as the other side, and then burn it all together. Okay, we're on the Dan cam. I know some of you don't like it, but I need both my hands. So you can see on this door how it kind of goes. Just follows the curve up and then right over. So that's fine. Now I did do some welding and stuff. I'll show you that real quick, but I want you to freeze frame that in your mind. So we're all welded in. I got the sill all done, somewhat ground down. It's good enough. Now, here's a problem I ran into. Might be lack of planning, we'll call it that, or lack of knowledge or care. But this is loose, and it's supposed to have screws in it, and it's been bolted in. Which, you know what, this would have been much nicer to fix before the quarter panel was on. Anywho, so the problem we run into, obviously, is it pulls itself out. So if I knock that all the way in, the door actually fits pretty good, but it doesn't hold that shape or that way. So I can push in, you can hear it. So if we do that, the door fits pretty good. I think I might have to just kind of tack that in. Where did I put my welding rod? So anyways, what we're gonna do to make our little piece, I'll probably, like I said, give that a push in, give it a weld, and then I'll just kind of bend this rod to fit something kind of like that-ish. I'll weld that both ends, and I'll just sheet it on both sides, weld that in, and be done with it. It'd be nice to make this door fit a little better, so I might screw around with this. If I can get to the back side, well, maybe I can get to it. If I can just tighten it up and put it in spot, and then leave it, then deal with it at a future date. I mean, it just needs 3 of those screws, which I don't have, and a little bit of screwing around, but it's possible, and really, door fit's not too bad. Bit of a tight gap, but we can fix that. New plan. Well, it's the plan. I just ran a ratchet strap in it. I mean, it's not too taut, just to hold the door in. And honestly, the door fits pretty good. It's a little tight right in the center. Down here, you can see I did cut, so I might have to do that as well as put a little cut in the quarter and fold it forward. This one didn't fit very well. For whatever reason, probably my fault. Again, like up here, it ended up weird and stuff, so whatever. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run the zip cut up there and kind of come in, knock it back. That'll give me a nice gap up until there. Now, I know what you're thinking, I can push the door ahead. Yes, but I actually am happy. Like, this is a pretty tight gap, which is nice. So we move that ahead, we're going to bung that up. And this fender is just kind of sitting on here, but it's too low. It actually has a nice gap as well, so I don't want to mess with that too bad. And this was obviously put on by a seasoned amateur. Anyways, I'm going to zip that, knock it back, or put a screwdriver and kind of fold it back, give it a couple tacks. Then I think maybe we'll switch to Dan cam, and we'll make this piece with the welding rod. And then once that's, you know, on, we have the shape we want just with the rod. We can then take, unlatch the door, open it, get it out of the way, and then build where we got to build. Plan? Look at that door gap, not bad, eh? I got a knock just right there. Well, I might just need to grind it, to be honest with you. And then it gets a little gappy right there, but if it really bothers me, we can just put a little bit of weld on it. Anywho, so I took a picture of that side. Ooh, it's got a big door, big gap on that one. But basically, we're just gonna kind of, I think, do that. Needs like a bit of a compound bend in it. Got all the right tools here. You know what? We're just gonna weld this thing on and then beat it into place. A little persuasion. glove up, boys, and close your eyes at the flash. So we'll say we want it like there. Close them up. That's a bad one. Okay. So something along like that. Ugh. Oh. My fault. Hang on. Sounded like a good one. Might just got the rod. Need some different tools, maybe. Some round to bend on. Something like that. A bunch of junk in there. Man, there we go. So, still a little gappy right there, but I think we can probably just give her a couple of those. And it kind of seems high there. Has to drop down, but we may end up cutting part of this quarter out. Just laying her flat in there. Man, this thing's really being a pain. Alright, well, we got started. Oh, that's not going to open because it's strapped. I'm going to get some sheet metal. I think we might have some on the ground. We'll just start kind of covering this in. Worst case, we have to slit this, fold it down. It actually looks like it has a bit of a hump up for some reason. I wonder if when I was welding, oh, you know what I probably did is I was smacking it backwards, and that caused it to do that. If I put a slit in it, I can knock it back down. Yep, that's what I'll do. A little bit of TV magic. Push that in. Looks not bad. So, it still needs just a little bit of welding on the edge. But fortunately, I have to now make a piece that'll kind of just cover that all up. Doesn't have to be super fancy or nice or anything, because ultimately we'll put it in there, weld it on, we'll weld it to there, we'll grind her down, and be good enough for filler. Same with like in here, you gotta get in there and clean it up. The door fits okay. Needs a little bit of grinding down here and whatnot. It's not ready for the paint booth just yet, but we're getting a heck of a lot closer. So, maybe I'll get the camera set up and I'll kind of show you how I'm gonna put a little piece in there. Just wing it together, weld it, grind it. I think we're done for the night. It's been slow moving and tedious, but these are the big things. And then you can see now, this is nice and flat. It's got a little low spot right there, but yeah, that's what filler's for. Okay, we're in a bit of a tricky spot. I hope I don't knock the camera too bad here, but bear with me. So always a piece of junk steel we got. So kind of put her into place a little bit. We'll get the marker out. Okay. Trace the back side, and then we'll just kind of give it a eyeball shape for the inside. So there you go, that's the curvature of the outside, that's the guess on the inside. So we'll just cut this, and ultimately if it's a little too big, a little too small, we got a welder. So now, trim just a little bit more there. Give her the old eyeball fit. Where's my hammer? Get her close. Close your eyes. Okay. Now we gotta trim just a little bit off the edge here. Cool. Now what else we gotta fit? Oh, not bad. Inside will fit nice. What we got there? Honestly, I think that'll be pretty good once I blast it full of weld. If I can only find my hammer. There it is. So, I'll feel sure I can. I'll put it back. The original seam I welded, this is going to line up right on top of that, so it'll be fine. This will all be, just give it an edge, and we actually want to stick up just a little bit. The only one that's going to be a little goofy is right at the very bottom, simply because the metal has got a slight fold back. We might just trim a little bit off of that now that I think about it. So we're not actually building like a patch panel that fits in, we're just kind of building a ramp up piece or something like that. Well, it is what it is. We'll let it cool off a little bit. I'll hit it with the grinder and we'll come back and see how she looks. Well, that was a lot of work. But, I think it looks pretty decent now. Like I said, we followed this weld up, actually got it all down. You can hardly see the transition, it's actually right there. So it worked out pretty good. I still got to get in there and grind all that, but that's a future damn problem. I think what we'll probably do, I'll strap, now I showed you this, we'll strap the door shut just so we can see how it will fit eventually. There's gonna be a little bit of, I'm not really happy with what I did down there. I should probably cut that out and redo it, but you know what? Not today. Are you ready for it? Whoop! Not bad. So again, we need a little bit of grinding, a little bit of body work in there, a little filler hides it all. This is actually just a smidge low there. So again, mind you, the door could be beat. This door is full of filler. We'll see how bad this door is. Once again, that's the last kind of piece of the puzzle I haven't really got into. Otherwise, the rockers fit pretty good. I mean, it's not going to be a perfectly metal finished hot rod. There will be filler in it, but not so much I'm embarrassed by it. And ultimately, whatever there's filler over, it's going to be all good metal. So I'm more than happy with this thing. That's where I'm leaving this video. This is the point of the project where it's all the little stuff starts taking hours and hours and hours and hours. But I think we're working on the back. The tailgate next. That should be a good one. Tailgate and that little tail panel. I gotta make sure I have welding gas. My other tank's empty and this one I don't know what it has. So you'll get some of that tomorrow. And we'll keep going. Then I'm just looking for a compressor on sale after Christmas stuff, I'm hoping. And then we can push this thing next door and load it with filler and start using that big air hog of MERS to flatten it out, do the best we can. Maybe getting some primer. Who knows what's next after that. I do want to bring another project home. I'm getting, I don't want to say tired of this thing, but I just want to do something different. Work on, even if it's the same thing on a different car, my little tiny brain makes it seem like it's more fun. But thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Leave a comment below all those things, and have a good night.